tuned in
You are now tuned into
to the realest show on YouTube with your host, the Angryman.
What's good? What's going on, everybody? We back in the building. We got a great show for you guys today. We got to talk about a few things. The first thing that we got to talk about Congress just flat out refusing to impeach Joe Biden, which is amazing to me because how many times did they try? How many times did they try to impeach President Trump? Didn't they try to impeach him like 2 times or something? You guys correct me if I'm wrong. They tried to impeach him twice, right? So what I'm trying to figure out in this scenario is, why is it whenever they're going at Trump, it's like guns free, no holds bar. Let's come at him at every angle possible that we can come at him. But then when it comes to Joe Biden, it's like, oh no, we have to have some decorum. We have to respect the republic and all of that. Why is it the title didn't hold any weight for Trump, but it holds weight for everybody else? Shout out to Ebo Sosi. He said that slick talk has been going on since I've been watching you. That's been about 6 years now. Success extracts a heavy toll, doesn't it? Salute. Appreciate it. So recently, the speaker, Mike Johnson, he just refuses to commit to staging a vote on impeaching President Biden. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been putting pressure on them, saying that she's basically going to force a vote if they don't do it, right? The biggest issue that they're bringing up right now is Joe Biden's mishandling of the situation at the southern border. And look, I'm not even going to disagree with that. Like, we have borders for a reason. And they're just flat out refusing. Like, I think President Biden just recently did something that he could have been done a long time ago. You feel what I'm saying? And Congress is just like, they're just tied up with freaking, ongoing investigations and committee reviews and all of this crap. And it's like, it's political theater, in my personal opinion. It's political theater. And what it makes me wonder is, why is it the Democrats can make something happen? Like, the Democrats don't have no problem coloring outside of the lines. Because you know what they do? They do questionable things, and they then turn around and expect the Republicans to maintain their decorum and to behave in a dignified way, even though, you know what I'm saying, they're constantly throwing bricks and hiding their damn hands. Like, it's the same play over and over again. It's the same BS over and over again. It's like, we're going to accuse the Republicans of doing illegal things and being racist and breaking the law, while we're doing all of those things as Democrats. We're going to do all of the things that we're going to accuse the Republicans of. Right? Then when the Republicans do it, it's like, oh, let's call this out and say that they're basically endangering democracy. And if If Trump says something about the election, oh, it's election interference, even though the Democrats have been challenging elections for I don't know how long. Every single time they lose an election, that's the first thing to fly out of their mouth. They did that with Hillary Clinton. They did that with Al Gore. You feel what I'm saying? Like, anytime they don't win, they accuse the Republicans of some of the most ridiculous shit you could think of. But guess what? They never get marched in front of a committee. They never get marched in front of a judge and get prosecuted for their statements or their actions. Never. Never. And now, their biggest concern now is that if or when Donald Trump gets elected, they're afraid of him retaliating. So much so to the point that you even have Dr. Phil sitting down to do an interview with Donald Trump. I think they did it at Mar-a-Lago. I think they did it down there. And him trying to appeal to Donald Trump's humanity. And we're going to get to that topic in a minute, too. We're going to get to that topic in a minute. Because Dr. Phil is now facing backlash for basically recognizing and identifying that Trump is being railroaded. It is a political witch hunt. So now, of course, the Democrats are turning on them. Yo, I swear to God, I've never seen this level of monolithic thinking in my life. It's scary. It's fascism. It's fascism. Do you realize that as long as a person is saying the things that the Democrats and the left agree with, they love them to death. The moment that person disagrees with the Democratic Party and the left's ideology, all of a sudden, the entire Democratic leftist machine turns on that person. You haven't noticed this? You haven't noticed this? Like, good and well, leftists love Dr. Phil. Now all of a sudden they can't stand him. You know what it reminds me of? You know what it reminds me of? The way the Democrats expect Black people, rappers, entertainers, progressives to agree with everything the Democrats and the left does. And the moment you say something that they don't agree with, they're ready to turn on you and now you're a scumbag. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this K-Dot and Drake shit. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. You literally can have the same. I could start an argument about this shit and not mention Republican or Democrat. And I could also be talking about Drake and K-Dot. But yo, shout out to Brandon. Brandon said liberals mad at a man for killing a mountain lion. Wow, that's crazy. Shout out to, is this the same Brandon? Yeah, this is the same Brandon. Shout out for the double up. Shout out to my man Aaron coming through. Aaron said, heard Tupac changes today on Kiss FM today. K. Dot and Drake both lost. Next topic, please. No doubt. I got you, Aaron. Hey, man, make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit the Cash App and support the show. We got to talk about, since we're talking about rap, we got to talk about Bun B and his situation. So Bun B testified in court about the traumatic home invasion he and his wife experienced in 2019. The trial has taken 5 years to reach this point. And it's highlighting the emotional and psychological toll on Bun B's wife. Now the interesting thing about this is he had to take the stand. He took the stand to basically give his account of what happened. And so, you know, he basically jumped up there to give the details of like the home invasion and the impact it's had on his family. For those that don't know, a individual by the name of DeMonte Jackson came to their house, and I think Bun B's wife thought that the dude was like an Amazon delivery guy. And so she opened the door, and when she opened the door, you feel what I'm saying? He rushed in the house with a gun, and he put a gun to his wife's head, and he pushed her to the garage because he was going to try to steal their car. And I guess Bun B heard the commotion, heard his wife, and so he came down with a gun. And I think he ended up shooting dude. But dude survived it, and so he got prosecuted or whatever. And so the reason why I'm highlighting this is because everybody on the internet is calling Bun B a rat for going on the stand to give his account of what happened. In fact, I think I got some video here for you guys to check out. Here's one of the videos for the situation.
She can't communicate, and I get so angry all again because she didn't deserve it. She didn't ask for this. The next morning, she got out of bed and went down to the kitchen, and I heard her scream, and I went down to see what was wrong, and she had her back turned, and she was crying, and I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She was like, I can't. She was just shaking furiously. I can't. I was like, well, you can't. She's like, I can't look at those stairs. And it was from that point where we realized like she couldn't even be in that house anymore. It is because, you know, there are times where she gets closed off.
So let me see. I think we got a news. Let me see. I think there's actually a news story. Let me see if I can find the actual news footage. Let's see. Bun B. Give me 1 second, you guys. Yo, press a 1 in the chat room. If you're gonna be one of the people that support the show, we definitely need to get some more supporters. I know y'all got turned off by the K. Drake stuff, but we moving on to the next topic. So hit the Cash App and support the show. We gotta talk about this topic because it illustrates one of the biggest issues in the community that just continues to be perpetuated. Like, just continues to be perpetuated, this no snitching thing, and how it just gets applied across the board to everything, which is just ridiculous, right? You got folks out here that are tax-paying citizens, and they're not allowed to contact the police because they're part of the black community. And if you contact the police, then you're automatically labeled a snitch, right? So let's check out this video real quick.
Houston rap legend Bun B and his wife Queenie giving emotional testimony in court today. The couple described a home invasion that happened back in 2019.
Yeah, this story made big headlines back then, and you may remember that's when the rapper ended up shooting the armed robber. Now that man is set to be sentenced for his crime. Sherman Chow joins us from the courthouse with what's next in this case and some interesting stuff in the courtroom today. Sherman.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah, actually, court resumes tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It has been a very emotional and tense day here in the 209th. Rapper Bun B, whose legal name is Bernard Freeman, and his wife Chevalier both testified about that 2019 attack at their Houston home. 25-year-old DeMonte Alief Jackson has pled guilty to aggravated robbery and burglary with intent to commit another offense. Well, Jackson's parents testified on his behalf, saying that he has an IQ of 81 and mental health issues. The Freemans say that Jackson forced his way into their home, put a gun to Mrs. Freeman's head to rob them and steal their car. Bun B, who was upstairs, grabbed a gun, came downstairs, opened fire on Jackson, who by then was behind the wheel of a car in the family garage.
I like shooting back at me, and I proceeded to unload my weapon. Well, I wasn't sure if I unloaded my weapon, and then he fell out of the car, he threw his gun down. I started fighting with him. My wife came through the garage door. She started screaming. Tell.
Dad, you ain't gotta ask. No. Hang on, man.
After that outburst, there was a brief recess and court resumed. Jackson's father said his son was a standout high school football player who, quote, had everything, including 2 cars and a moped, but not disciplined because he wanted to be a friend, not a father. Jackson was wounded in that shootout and then fled to a hospital where he was then later arrested. 2 more defense witnesses are scheduled to testify tomorrow morning, after which the judge will issue a sentence. We are live here in the Harris County Criminal Courthouse. Sherman Chow, KHOU 11 News.
Very.
So that's basically what happened. And now you got people on the internet basically saying that Bun B is a snitch. If you go to TikTok and look, there are countless videos basically saying, yeah, Bun B's a snitch. He's a snitch because he sat up there on the stand and told on that black man and blah, blah, blah. And look, do y'all want my honest opinion? Y'all want my honest opinion about this? Matter of fact, before I even give my honest opinion about this, press 1 in the chat if you plan on supporting the show. I'm going to give you my raw, uncut opinion. I'm going to give you my raw, uncut opinion. Like real talk. Let me give you my raw, uncut opinion. And by the way, anybody that comes in here and puts 0 and tries to be cute, you will get booted up out of here. Because if you don't plan on contributing, you ain't got to press nothing. You can just watch the show. Shout out to Fubar. He said, if I'm a snitch for defending my family, then call me Mr. Cheese. All right, so everybody that press 1, make sure you hit the Cash App and support the show. So here's my honest opinion, right? So number one, now that, and this is something we constantly do. We constantly do this. So this young man is in court. His father is up on the stand in tears talking about, oh, his and I don't know why he thought this would be a good defense for his son. Talking about his son came up in a household where he had everything. He had 2 cars, he had a moped, he was a football star, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't help the situation because it means that there's literally no reason for him to be trying to rob anybody or trying to steal from anybody, right? So then there's the defense of, oh, he has a IQ of, what they say, 81, 83, something like that. The thing is this, right? One, I don't even know why Bun B's wife was answering the door like that. I'm gonna tell you some real shit. Like when I order stuff, especially if somebody delivers something at night, even I don't open the door until the person leaves. Because I'm mindful of the fact that now that we live in this age where people deliver stuff, you know, you got Amazon deliveries, you got DoorDash, you got Uber Eats. You never know what type you got. What's the other one? Instacart. You never know what type of time people are on. You never know what type of time people are on. You never know if somebody's delivering something and they want you to come to the door when they deliver it so that they can put the burner to you and come in your house and do a home invasion and take some shit, right? My deliveries, I stipulate in my deliveries to leave it at the door. Yeah, ain't nobody got to put nothing in my hand, right? In fact, was it yesterday? It was yesterday or the day before yesterday. I don't know if y'all remember, but my wife came to the office door when somebody was at the door ringing the doorbell. If it's daytime, it doesn't matter, daytime or nighttime. If somebody rings my bell and my wife looks at the camera and she don't know who it is, she ain't answering that door. She is not going to answer that door. She's going to come and get me. And I'm going to answer the door. And I can tell you right now, if I answer the fucking door, the worst mistake you ever make is trying to rush into my house. Because when I open the door, one of my hands is behind the door. So when I open the door, all you see is this part of me and this hand. So if you try to rush in, it's going to be a wrap for you. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't know why she would answer the door like that. But what I think is really sad about the situation is she's obviously traumatized. If I was Bun B, I don't know if they still live in that house. If I was Bun B, I would just sell the house and move to a different house. You know what I'm saying? And beef up security and all of that stuff so that she could feel more comfortable. Because what's ridiculous is, you know, Bun B's a rapper, yes, but Bun B also is a business owner. He doesn't always say things I agree with. Sometimes I feel like he can be on some simping shit. But no man should be in a situation where he's not allowed to protect his family, to protect his wife and whoever else is in that house. Like, to call that man a snitch is crazy to me. And the reason why it's crazy is because the dude came in the house, put a gun to his wife's head. Bun B fought with the dude and shot the dude. So this man did what he was supposed to do. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. The dude survived and went to the hospital and got arrested. So now that he's arrested and he's sitting up there in court, Bun B not supposed to say nothing? He not supposed to say shit? What, is he supposed to not go to court for some sort of Negro code of not snitching, and then this dude mess around and get out and do this shit to somebody else, or worse, end up shooting somebody? What is wrong with the black community? What is wrong with the black community? I'm gonna tell you the truth. You know the first thing I thought when it first happened? When I first saw this, when I first saw everybody talking about he was a snitch. I'm gonna tell you the first thing that popped up in my mind. The first thing that popped up in my mind was, damn, Bun, you should have had better aim. That's how the fuck I feel. You should have had better aim. Real talk. You should have had better aim. Because the crazy thing is, for me, it seemed like in the black community, it seemed like we root for the villain. We root for the criminal. Here you got this man that's been rapping forever. Done worked his ass off. He got businesses. Done worked his ass off. Yeah, he's a rapper, but he's also a man. He's also a member of a community. This is a married man that pays taxes, that lives a normal, decent life. Like even if he be on some, you know, he said some wild statements about Tory Lanez that I didn't agree with. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. This is just weird to me. This is just weird to me. It doesn't really make sense to me, because you got folks all over the internet talking about this man as a snitch, talking about this man as a rat. And it's like, bruh, you act like Bun B was out here hustling with somebody and they both got caught, and Bun B is telling on his homie so that he doesn't get time. Or Bun B and this dude was robbing somebody and they both got caught, and Bun B is telling on his homie so that he don't go to jail. That is not the scenario. That is not the scenario. The scenario is you got one dude that was on some robbery, home invasion shit. And in that moment, Bun B wasn't a rapper. He wasn't a street dude. He wasn't a hustler. He wasn't a gangster. He was a husband in his home with his wife having a gun put to her head. What was he supposed to do? What was he supposed to do? Exactly. Bun ain't even a gangster. He's not even a gangster rapper. Bun B isn't even a gangster rapper. He's not even a gangster rapper. But we're still putting that label on him as if he's wrong for defending his home in the state of Texas. You do realize in the state of Texas, he could have straight up deleted that young boy and wouldn't have pulled a day. You realize that, right? Like, the crazy thing about it is, bruh, like, look, I don't care what nobody say. The worst people in the world to me are people that it's kind of like Omar's, it's kind of like the code that Omar lives by in The Wire. Omar's like, yo, I ain't never put my gun on somebody that wasn't in the game. Like, if a nigga robs a drug dealer, I ain't tripping about it. If a nigga robs a stick-up kid, I ain't tripping about it. If a nigga robs a nigga that's in the street engaging in street activity, I ain't tripping about it. Because at the end of the day, when you live that street life, you're inviting certain things into it. You're signing up for certain things. But when you're a regular citizen that is not part of street life, you just living your life, and somebody breaks into your man, you got every freaking right. You got every freaking right to defend yourself and blow them away. And keep in mind, he put a gun to his wife's head. I don't know. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. They're saying that the trial was already delayed because of Jackson's mental health issues. And that's another thing. Do we not lock people up in crazy houses anymore? Did that just stop being a thing? Did that just stop being a thing? Did we just stop locking people up in nut houses? Said there are no more crazy, and that would explain a lot. That would explain a lot. That would explain a lot. If we don't have any more, and you know what's crazy? What's crazy about it is if we don't have mental institutions now, but you got people, every time you look up, somebody's running around here talking about mental illness. If you listen to the commentary around mental illness, you could argue that there are more mentally ill people now than there ever was. Why do we not have mental institutions anymore? By the way, a lot of y'all pressed 1 and nobody has hit the Cash App yet. A lot of y'all have pressed 1 and nobody's hit the Cash App yet. So we're going to wait until we get some support. Got to talk about this Dr. Phil situation. Or we can call it a night. Yo, shout out to Robert. He said, "What's up, AM? If that were Pimp C, I don't think he would have missed." Man, let me tell you something. If Pimp was living right now and they out here calling Bun B a snitch, man, Pimp would be all over the internet talking cash shit. He would be calling these niggas out left and right. He would be calling these Negroes out left and right, bruh. Yo, shout out to D Prez. Appreciate you, bro. Yo, shout out to Idris. Shout out to the Kobe 42. He said, our community thinks that being at the end of the bench gives them the same say as the starters and team captains. Shout out to Football. He said, in the words of Pimp C, I got something for your stankin' ass. Shout out to J Dub. Appreciate you. That no snitching shit got to go. That got to go, because you know what? That whole street life shit, that shit is done. That shit is over. That shit is over. And I'm gonna tell you something right now. When you become successful and you actually have money and you actually have things to lose, shit, police end up becoming your best friend, because they the ones that's gonna come and lock somebody up for trying to take your shit. And I'm gonna tell you something right now, and I mean this shit. The biggest mistake that black people make is they don't utilize that judicial system. And that's the reason why they don't understand it. That's the reason why they're always on the shit end of the stick when it comes to the judicial system. All right, we're going to try this again. Press a 1 in the chat room if you plan on supporting the show through the Cash App. Press a 1 in the chat room if you plan on supporting the show. If you don't, do not press a 1. You know what? You know what I'm thinking? You know what I think it's time for yet again? Is it that time again? Is it that time again? Is it that time again? Have we arrived at that time yet again? Because it's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while since we did it. It's been a while since we did it. I do believe it is time. What did Rafiki? What did Rafiki say on The Lion King? It is time. It is time yet again. Yet again, it is time. It's time yet again. It is time yet again. Shout out to Theory. Appreciate you. Shout out to Avery. Shout out to Robert. He said, don't end the show, AM. Keep going, bro. No, we gonna keep going. Yo, shout out to Malcolm. Shout out to Abdul. Shout out to Roderick. He said, cook AM and let me get a plate. Yeah, so we have done yet another purge. So for everybody in here that hit the Cash App today, if you already hit the Cash App, press a 1 in the chat so that I can give you a wrench. So if you hit the Cash App today, press a 1 in the chat so I can give you a wrench. Let's see. Malcolm. Quantrick. What's your name? What's your name in the Cash App, bruh? If I don't recognize your name, hey, look. If you using a different name, I'm gonna need you to put that name in there, bruh. Yo, shout out to Kevin. He said, what's up, AM? Much love and support to the BINO Nation. Salute from Tanzania. AM and the AM. Appreciate you, fam. Oh, shit, it probably is morning over there. Let's see. You said Quan? I don't see no Quan in the Cash App. I don't see no Quan in the Cash App. You said it was a super chat? Matter of fact, I'm gonna go through and give the people with the super chats. I'm gonna give y'all wrenches too. Let me go through and check it out. Check it out. Let's see. Who else got? Let's see. We gonna give everybody that hit the super chat or the Cash App is gonna get a wrench today. Because we gotta have an incentive for the people who actually support. We gotta have an incentive for those that actually support. And watch the people that's missing, they're gonna be like, where's my wrench? What happened to my wrench? And by the way, if you want to get a forever wrench, all you gotta do is drop that Hyundai. You drop 100 in this mug, you'll get a forever wrench. You feel me? That means whenever I do the purge, you won't lose your wrench. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see, who else? Abdul, let me get your wrench, brother. It's gonna be some folks, they gonna be like, man, where my wrench go? Damn, Angry Man, why you taking away wrenches, man? Like they don't know. Like they don't know that's how we move over here in the BINO Nation. That's how we move over here in the BINO Nation, you feel me? You want that wrench, hit that motherfucking support. You feel what I'm saying? Hit that support and get them privileges, you feel me? Hit that support and get them privileges. Yo, shout out to Lifeline Music. He said support. Shout out to Bam Bam. He said, I got the big wrench. Here you go anyway. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you got the big wrench, bro. That's why you got the big wrench, bro. Real talk. Shout out to Bam Bam for being a supporter, being a sponsor of the show. You feel me?
$50 boss up. Hey! Stack up and match up.
Shout out to JLJ504 HD. In the building. In the building. You feel me? Let's see. Shout out to Picasso. He said, I got you, OG. Shout out to Abdul. He said, to ensure my wrench status. You already good, broski. Shout out to Magwood. He said, for the show. Shout out to Artisan MC. He said, what happened to my wrench? No, Artisan, you should have a forever wrench, bro. Where is Artisan at in the chat? Artisan's supposed to have a forever wrench. Where's my guy Artisan at? Hey, say something in the chat, man. Say, call me Quan. Okay, cool. I got you, bro. Say something in the chat, Artisan. Shout out to Avery. Avery said, thanks for the wrench. No doubt. Say something in the chat, Artisan, so I can get you. You should already have a wrench. Let me go look. Let me go look at the big wrench status. Let's see. Could have swore Artisan already had a big wrench. And I tell you what, too. I tell you what, now that I'm looking at it, it's some niggas that got big wrenches that's been missing. It's some niggas that got big wrenches that's been missing. They've been missing in action. Ooh, wee. These Negroes been missing in action, bruh. They've been missing in action, broski. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Beastly Nerd. What y'all think? Yeah, you already got a wrench, Artisan. You already got a wrench. I think you got a forever wrench. Yeah, you got a forever wrench, bro. Well, let me not call it a forever wrench because I'm sitting here debating. Hey, what y'all think? Y'all think if I haven't seen people in months, I should take their forever wrench? What y'all think? I'm gonna just call it the big wrench. You feel me? You said it was a quote. Oh yeah, because that's what they gonna be saying. They gonna be where my wrench go, bruh? Where my wrench go? Look, BINO Nation said yes. They said yes. Let's see. Kevin said, empty my wallet for you, big homie. Pause. PayPal and Cash App don't F with us in TZ like that, but I'm gonna get it regardless. Salute. Appreciate you, fam. Hey, man, say something in the chat so I can get you a wrench, bro. Say something in the chat so I can get you a wrench, broski. Let's see. Let's go over here and look at these wrenches real quick. Let's see. Most hated and underrated is always coming through here. D-Prayer is always coming through here. Ari Nicole always coming through. Let's see. Freezy be coming through. Cutie Exec be coming through. Malika always here. Keisha. I ain't seen Keisha in a little minute. I think I might have seen her in here. Bootzilla. Let's see. Bam Bam. Danny Girl. I ain't seen Danny Girl in forever. See, Cajun Dogfire was in here yesterday. Jack Frost, I ain't seen you in forever. Furious Styles, I ain't seen you in forever. Let's see, Jay Jermaine has been here recently. Let's see, Q Wilson been here recently. Auntie Mickey been here. KGY been here. Paramount Intelligence, I ain't seen him in a minute. James been here. King Sigma been here. Let's see, LL Music, you got a big wrench. Michelle been here. Famous Davis been here. Steve H. Let's see. Artisan, Ebo Sosa. Kendra, House of Love. That's Corey. Mr. 1950. Six ain't been here in a minute. And last time he came, he was talking shit. Let's see, who else? Leaked ain't been in here forever. Who else? Let's see. We got D-Rock Den, Treese, Dark Power, Uncle Buck. I ain't seen Uncle Buck in a minute. I ain't seen him in a minute. Yvette. Let's see. DP Jr. I ain't seen him in a minute. Let's see. Reggie. I seen him recently. Big Rig, Donnell. I think we gonna stop right there. I think we gonna, yeah, it's probably K-Dot fans. Probably K-Dot fans, but it's all good. It's all good. They don't have to come over here. Just like I don't have to leave. I don't have to keep a wrench for them. That's fair, right? That's fair, right? They don't have to come over here. I don't got to hold a wrench for them, right? You got to reallocate them things. You feel me? So, let's get to this next topic. Let's see. Okay, so what I came across recently, right? What I came across recently was Dr. Phil did an interview with Donald Trump, right? And let me see if I can find the CNN. Let's see, CNN, Dr. Phil, CNN. I want y'all to see this. This was crazy. This was crazy, right? So check this out. Just peep this real quick.
Okay, so you and the senator can read the former president's promises yourself. He promised to prosecute his perceived enemies in plain English, like this post that he made just hours ago on Truth Social. It's pretty short. Indict the unselect J6 committee. And joining me now, Dr. Phil, whose interview with the former president just aired. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. You're clearly sympathetic to Trump, but you believe that he should drop this talk of revenge. Did he commit to not pursuing that?
Oh, pause for a second. Pause. My man Carell said, I'm Paramount Intelligence in the chat, fam. Okay, hold on. Where you at, bro? Say something in the chat. Where's Paramount Intelligence? You know I know you as Carell, bro. Let me make sure you supposed to have a big wrench. I got you, bro. I got you. Shout out to you, by the way. Appreciate you, fam.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. You're clearly sympathetic to Trump, but you believe that he should drop this talk of revenge. Did he commit to not pursuing that if he was elected president?
Well, first off, I'm sympathetic to what Trump has gone through in this particular trial because I think it was not proper due process for him. I would say the same thing if it was Biden or anyone else in that process. So I want to be clear on that.
Would you mind telling us, tell us why you think he didn't get due process?
Now, already off the rip, I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't like this chick. Not even a little bit. To me, this is another Joy Reid in the making, right? She sits up there with those dead eyes, and you could tell she's part of an agenda. Like, she's not even letting him finish his sentence, right?
Well, first off, I'm sympathetic to what Trump has gone through in this particular trial because I think it was not proper due process for him. I would say the same thing if it was Biden or anyone else in that process. So I want to be clear on that.
Would you mind telling us, tell us why you think he didn't get due process. The proceedings, we had reporters in there. I was there for a lot of it. There was a judge and he adjudicated a lot of these questions. Why do you think he wasn't given a fair process?
Because he's a president. Because he is this is wild. This is wild. This is the first time. Do you know this is the first time in history that any state has been able to bring charges against a president? Do y'all realize, look, check this out. Do y'all realize this is unconstitutional? A president, whether sitting or former, is not supposed to be subject to state prosecution. It's supposed to be federal. The fact that a state would even be able to bring charges against a former president is ridiculous. She's sitting there blinking. If you ever watch any of her interviews, what you'll notice is she sits up there blinking. You know she doesn't care about what you're saying. She's just waiting for her turn to talk.
Well, I think it's a number of things. I think from a jury standpoint, and again, let me be clear, I'm not a lawyer. I look at it in terms of what the jury was given to solve this puzzle. And I think they heard some things that were very prejudicial that had nothing to do with solving the problem of the case at hand. I think there are some things that are considered black letter law or hornbook law that's just really not something that is controversial at all that was violated. I think you don't have someone that is considered to be an accomplice in a crime that has pled out or made a non-prosecution agreement and allow that information into the jury's awareness because it's very prejudicial and is not really probative of anything that they're asked to be problem solving or consider.
Who are you referring to there?
Michael
Cohen.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil, I don't want to get too deep into the law here, but it is not uncommon at all for people who...
You don't want to get too deep into the law about a trial that is historical, that has all kinds of ramifications that we're going to be dealing with for the rest of the time that this country is on top. You don't want to get too deep into the law. Why don't you just say what's really on your mind? We hate Trump, and it doesn't matter what they do to him. You know what I really felt like during this whole process? I feel like the Democrats really wished that they had a dictatorship where they could have just did what they wanted to do with Trump without any type of trial. I really felt like that. The entire time that these proceedings were going on, I really felt like they're like, okay, you know what? We just got to get this dude up out of here. I feel like they wanted to just lock him up and throw away the key.
Who are accomplices to crimes, people who have taken plea deals, non-prosecuted. That is not uncommon at all for those people to then testify in subsequent trials for their alleged co-conspirators. That's kind of how a lot of these prosecutions work.
Well, really, give me examples of where that has been considered appropriate.
I mean, look, prosecutors are prosecuting organized crime all the time, and in a lot.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Yo! Dr. Phil said, give me an example of where that's happened. Give me an example.
For their alleged co-conspirators. That's kind of how a lot of these prosecutions work.
Well, really, give me examples of where that has been considered appropriate.
I mean, look, prosecutors are prosecuting organized crime all the time, and in a lot of those cases, they are relying on co-conspirators to put people who are at the higher levels of the organization behind bars. I don't understand how you can say that because someone signed was not prosecuted, signed a non-prosecution agreement, that information or their testimony cannot be presented before the jury if they were a part of the alleged scheme.
Well, you'll have to give me an example to respond to, because I just simply don't agree with that. I think it's not typical for juries to do this. I've spent most of my career.
It happens in mob cases all the time. I don't understand. Look, Dr. Phil, I mean, I don't understand why you would think.
Give him an example. And here's the problem. This is not a mob case. This is a state prosecuting a former sitting president. Doesn't matter if you don't like him. Do you have any idea the ramifications? We haven't even saw the ramifications yet. Talk about fumbling foreign policy. We haven't even saw the ramifications of what is going on in the world when other countries are like, wow, they're prosecuting a former president. What do they think the rest of the world thinks about this? They don't care. They don't care. They're literally making America weaker. For what? Because what was the charges?
I think that Michael Cohen,
what was the charges? Do you realize they don't even have an underlying crime? They hit Trump with falsifying business documents. Why? Because Stormy Daniels had some sort of interaction with Donald Trump. Going into the 2016 election, Donald Trump paid for her to be quiet. Not because he committed a crime, but because he felt that her telling her story about her interaction with Donald Trump would hurt his chances politically. But there was no initial crime. It's not against the law to give somebody hush money unless you're trying to silence them about a crime. Because if that was illegal, NDAs would be illegal. So there was no initial crime. And the problem that the jury was facing was, okay, what's the illegal part? And the judge literally gave them instructions. It doesn't matter if you can't connect the legal part of it. If you feel like he did something wrong, you got to convict him. Do you have any earthly idea how ridiculous and illegal that action was? That judge is not supposed to be presiding over anything after he makes a statement like that. It just shows you how corrupt the New York judicial system is. Not to mention the fact that in Congress, they have literally been asking for the documents to prove that the DOJ was not weaponized by Joe Biden to go after Donald Trump. Congress is making the accusation that the Biden administration is using the DOJ to go after their political opponent, which is Donald Trump. And they are refusing to give the correspondence between the DOJ and people like Fannie Willis, people like Nathan Wade, people like those jokers up in New York. And this woman is sitting here with a straight face. This is why I can't take CNN seriously. This is why I can't take CNN seriously. Like, they are literally engaged in the thing that they're accusing Trump of. Everything that they said Trump would do with his position of power, they are literally doing themselves. And they think the American public doesn't see it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Even Dr. Phil, you know it got to be bad when Dr. Phil's simping ass. You know it has to be bad when left-leaning Dr. Phil has to speak up and say, hey, man, hold on. Y'all getting a little too ridiculous here. And you know why Dr. Phil is doing that? For the same reason any American with any damn sense is doing that. Because once you set this precedence, this is a downward spiral. You are literally turning America into Venezuela. You are turning America into one of these countries where the person that is in power can pretty much do whatever they want.
Who is a key person in a lot of the narrative here should not have been allowed to testify in this case? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I said what I said. I think the fact that he made an agreement to say that he is guilty of the crime that the defendant is being tried for prejudices the jury that, hey, here's someone that's supposedly an accomplice that has said, I'm guilty of this. That prejudices a jury about the person that's currently on trial for the same crime.
I have some quibbles with what you're describing as the same crime. Michael Cohen was not charged with falsifying business records. That he actually did not was not prosecuted for that crime. But I do want to move on because on this issue of what Trump is going to do if he is elected, did you get any clarity from him about whether he would try to pursue the people perhaps who pursued him?
Oh, basically you're asking him. See, they shook. They scared now. As we get closer and closer to November, and it's becoming more likely that Donald Trump is going to win this election, because guess what? I told you that bullshit that they pulled last time, and y'all was here for it. 2020, we covered the election. We covered that shit live. Many of y'all were in here with me in the middle of the night looking at them count these ballots. We covered it. We covered it. By the time I shut down the stream, we knew what it was going to be. We woke up the next morning to the okie doke. And I told you guys, what did I tell y'all? I said, yo, that's a trick you can only pull one time. That is a trick you can only pull one time. And this is the reason why you see all of these media outlets clamoring to try to push the narrative as much as they can. This is why they're going so. See, a lot of people say, oh, well, they're just going to do the same thing they did last time. If that were true, why would they be going so hard in the paint to try to convict this man? Why would they be going so hard in the paint to try to prosecute Donald Trump? Because they know they can't pull that same crap again. This is the whole reason why they had states try to take him off the ballot, and the Supreme Court had to come down and say, no, you cannot do that. That is unconstitutional. In fact, it is one of the most ridiculous things that anybody has ever attempted to do. And the reason why is because you don't even have to be a presidential candidate. If enough people write your name on the fucking ballot, you will win the presidency. And as much as some of y'all don't like the founding fathers, I'm telling you right now, I've said it before and I said it again. The founding fathers were not stupid men. They were very intelligent men. Many of you will disagree with the 3/5 of a human being. I disagree with that as well. That was a point of contention that many of them fought over when they were writing the Constitution. But one thing about the founding fathers, they weren't stupid. The whole reason why they wrote things in a certain way, structured things in a certain way, is to avoid what these clowns are trying to do right now.
DAs or his political enemies?
Well, certainly that's a big issue. And I lean very strongly into the position of saying, look, this is not going to help this country. If you get into a position of power and your agenda is one of revenge, retribution, saying, okay, you came after me, so now I'm going to come after you. America picks up the tab for that.
No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. Because if Trump gets into office and he goes after all of these obviously corrupt individuals, that's not him getting revenge. That's not him getting retribution. That is him righting the ship. That is him putting the ship back on track and guaranteeing that that BS doesn't happen again for the next candidate that they don't like. It's the same crap. The Democrats do what they feel like doing, and then when the shoe is on the other foot and the Republicans can do the same thing, all of a sudden it's a problem now.
That's not anything that's good to do. That's going to take up time. That's just playing tit for tat. So you go after them because they came after you, then they come after you because they go after them. In the meantime, what about America? What about the business of America? What about the issues of education? What about the issues of...
Look at the look on her face. She don't care about that. She don't care nothing about that. Look at the look on her face.
Of the border? What about the issues of inflation? What about the issues of healthcare? What about all the things that the people really care about? They're not interested in you playing gotcha with the people that you think got you. We're not interested in that. Nobody's interested in that. And
how did you respond to that when that's your perspective. What do you sense is his inclination? Because just today, he said, for example, that he would indict the January 6th committee members, presumptively the members of Congress who were on that committee investigating what happened on January 6th. Are you more or less convinced after sitting down with him that he...
First of all, shut up, because what they did to those people was a travesty. I'm still trying to figure out how somebody what did old boy say? He said they incited an erection. Like how are you gonna incite an erection without a Johnson? You feel me? How are you gonna wage war without any guns? That doesn't even make any damn sense.
He actually would follow through on those kinds of pledges.
Well, I actually don't think he will. I think this is a situation that, it's a process. This is something that I think he's had in his mind, that there's only one way to go, and that's to get even. And I think I really made some headway with him that is not the way to go. I think it's a process. I think he'll turn this over and over in his mind, and I don't think he will do that. And to the extent that I have any opportunity to lean into this with him, I am going to relentlessly try and get him to not do that and to get.
Yo, I just gotta say this. I just gotta say this for the record. And I mean this. I don't care how many people don't like it. Donald Trump was, is, and will always be my president. Period. I think that when everything is said and done historically, I'm going to view Donald Trump the way some folks viewed Ronald Reagan. I'm going to view Donald Trump the way some folks viewed JFK. You feel me? And the reason why I say that is because with everything they have thrown at this man, he has taken it like a soldier. You hear me? With everything they have levied against this man, and look, for all of the people that want to say, oh, Donald Trump is corrupt, let me tell you something. They came after Donald Trump with everything. They came after him with the FBI. They came after him with the DOJ. They went after him. They went after his children. They went through his businesses with a fine-tooth comb. And you mean to tell me that after all of that investigating, after all of those hours of manpower, the only thing that you could come up with was that he falsified a business document? That right there should be proof positive that this man is not a corrupt dude. That should be the proof right there. They threw everything at this man except the kitchen sink, bruh. And for the record, by the way, I gotta say this. Let me see if I can pull up the picture. And I'm gonna say this, and some of y'all ain't gonna understand it. Some of y'all ain't gonna understand it. They are worried about the wrong Trump. They're worried about the wrong Trump. Y'all remember I said this. Y'all remember I said this on at 12:27 a.m. June 8th of 2024. You remember I said they're worried about the wrong Trump. The Trump they need to be worried about is this one right here. That's who they need to be worried about. I'm not going to say why. That's the one they got to be worried about. That young man is sitting back watching, taking it all in, looking at how they are doing his father. Because if you think for 1 second that he's not going to go into politics, you bugging. You bugging. Tell you right now, you're bugging if you think he ain't going into politics.
Get others to not do that. Look, we need to stop this. This is a time where America needs to come together, not be playing gotcha and going on some kind of revenge.
You said that's Barron? Exactly. Exactly. Barron Trump. Exactly.
Tour. We don't need that. We don't have time for that. It's not good for America. We need to unify, not be going after people that we think came after us, whether we think they did so fairly or otherwise.
Yeah, it sounds like
we don't need that. The last thing we need is for Trump to be going after people that he thinks have treated him unfairly.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you are personally taking it upon yourself to talk through this with him. But for the voters who are evaluating this very issue, you know, Donald Trump is explicitly saying, I'm going to prosecute my predecessor, Joe Biden, if I'm elected. He's explicitly saying he wants to go after his political enemies. He will go after.
You are not swaying you're not swaying any voters' minds right now, young lady. Give it a rest.
The members of Congress who were doing their jobs investigating what happened on January 6th. Don't voters need to weigh that, especially since the argument that Trump is making with no evidence is that Biden is going after him?
Well, I think they absolutely have to weigh that. And if they think that Donald Trump or any other candidate is going to do that, then, and they think that is not what I'm putting somebody in office for, then they absolutely shouldn't vote for them. I don't think that's what we're putting people in office to do. That's running their agenda instead of America's agenda. And we need people to run America's agenda. Look, we've got serious problems, and it takes serious people to deal with those problems. I'm not a political animal. I don't, it doesn't.
Now, she's sitting up there talking about something. They're saying that Biden is going after Donald Trump without any evidence. They're saying that Biden's going after Donald Trump without any evidence. Like, there's no evidence of that. Oh, really? There's no evidence of that? There's no evidence of that. Hold on for a second.
Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think...
Donald Trump says he's a political prisoner that you're going after. What is your response to that, sir? I'm going to play it again for you so you can see it. I'm going to play it again for you so you can see it.
Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot, sir?
Donald Trump.
That says it all right there. That says it all right there. But hey, nobody. Guess what? If the shoe was on the other foot, every media outlet would have put that smile front and center and would have came up with every wild-eyed theory that you could think of if it was Donald Trump that had did that.
It doesn't matter to me whether somebody's Democrat or Republican. I could care less, don't know enough about politics to talk about it intelligently. But I can tell you this, from a cultural standpoint, we need people working on the problems that are impacting the quality of life in America, impacting the quality of medical care, impacting the quality of education, impacting the quality of people's ability to feed and take care of their families. And that doesn't leave room to be playing gotcha and retribution and revenge. That's not what we need. We need people to get in there and do their jobs. And if not, they shouldn't have the privilege. That's not a legacy, it's a privilege. And we shouldn't be putting people in office that want to play those kind of games.
Yeah. The BS. But we got to go to the next topic. If you're just coming in here, hit the like button, hit the Cash App and support the show. Support what we talking about here. So I saw something that was the most egregious thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't think I've ever seen anything this ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen anything this ridiculous. And as much as I found it to be egregious, as much as I found it to be disgusting, I'm glad she did it. I'm glad she did it. For those of you that don't know, Byron Donalds out of Florida made a statement that they took out of context. It's a statement that we have said here many times in the BINO Nation. If you go back and look in the past, Black people during the Jim Crow era had more community, had higher marriage rates, and seemed to be in a better position. Now, is that to say that Black people would be better if we had Jim Crow again? Hell no. It's merely an observation that during those times, Black people operated in a different way. Not because of Jim Crow, but because Black people valued family. Black people had a different agenda at that time. So what they've done is they're now running around trying to call Byron Donalds a coon. They're saying that he's saying that Black people were better under Jim Crow, which isn't what he said. So he goes on these outlets to try to clarify. And one of the media outlets he goes on is MSNBC, and he has a conversation with Joy Reid. And Joy Reid made a statement that is so ridiculous. But I'm glad she made the statement. I'm glad she said it, because it confirms what I've been saying for a very long time. Let's check it out.
Some recent comments by Florida Congressman Byron Donalds have been condemned by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, the Congressional Black Caucus, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Jamie Harrison, and the president of the NAACP, Derek Johnson, just to name a few. In those comments, at an event designed to help Republican outreach to Black voters in Philadelphia earlier this week, Congressman Donalds made what certainly seemed like positive comments about the Jim Crow era, and he claims his critics are missing the context of what he said. So, here's the context.
I grew up with my mom. My dad and my mom, things didn't work out. As an adult, I look at my father and I say, bro, I don't know what happened, but you my father and I love you. Wow. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. Wow. But I'm gonna tell you this, growing up, the one thing I knew I wanted to do, and this is not about my father, this is about what I wanted to do, is I wanted to be a father to myself. Wow. And so one of the things that's actually happening in our culture, which you're now starting to see in our politics, is the reinvigoration of Black families with younger Black men and Black women. And that is also helping to breed the revival of a Black middle class in America. You see, during Jim Crow, the Black family was together. That's right. During Jim Crow, more Black people were not just conservative, because Black people always have been conservative minded, but more Black people voted conservatively. and then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America the last 10 years, and I say it because it's my contemporaries, it's Wesley's contemporaries, you're starting to see more black people be married in homes, raising kids. It's when you home with your wife raising your kids, and then you look at the world, you're saying, oh, wait a minute, time out. This does not look right. How can I get something to my kids? It goes back to the conversation of generational wealth, not just having a job.
Now, already off the rip, I'm trying to figure out how they took what he said out of context. Like, if you look at that statement, how do you take that out of context? How do you take what he just said and say, oh, he's trying to say that Jim Crow needs to come back. He's trying to say that we were better with Jim Crow over us. That's not what he said. Anybody with any intelligence knows that is not what the man said. But I told you, there is a group of Negroes that are shills for the Democratic Party. And anytime they see a conservative black man speaking this way, they're going to pick apart what he's saying, take what he's saying out of context, and try to make him look like he's a sellout or a coon to try to turn the black community against him. They do it every single time. They're doing it with him. They did it with Larry Elder. They did it with what's the brother's name from South Carolina that signed the First Step Act, that brought the First Step Act to Trump. They did it to him. They do it to every black person that talks common sense and tries to hold the black community accountable.
Generational wealth.
I am joined now by Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, thank you for being here. We played that lengthy segment. That is what you posted on your social media. The part of what you said that people take issue with is this line, which I'm going to read back to you again. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together. During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative. Black people have always been conservative-minded, but black people voted conservatively. But it is that during Jim Crow, the black family was together. That's what people have taken issue with. What are they missing?
Frankly, what's really happened is that you have, Democrats and you have the Biden campaign, and some in the media want to twist my words for political purposes. The overarching issue is talking just about black families and why you're seeing a trend of black people leaning towards Republicans in this election cycle and probably in election cycles to come. And part of that, is that when you're raising families, raising kids, et cetera, you're now thinking about all of the public policy issues, all of the economic issues, all of the education issues. And that's leading people to have divergence in political thoughts. That was the only point. The stuff that comes up about Jim Crow and twisting my words, saying I was being nostalgic or saying that Jim Crow was good for black people, that's all political spin. It's a lie. It's gaslighting. And that's truly unfortunate. So
here's the challenge, Congressman. You started out talking about your family, talking about your mom, talking about being raised.
Shout out to the lowly one. He said, translation, back when the mindset of conflict, black people were stronger together, that shouldn't even need an explanation. This is just plain demonic. Yeah.
And you on your own brought up Jim Crow. In fact, you said Jim Crow 3 times for emphasis. It wasn't the media or the Democrats or gaslighters who brought up Jim Crow. It was you. You brought up Jim Crow. So why did you use Jim Crow specifically as your reference? You did that. No one else did that. You did it.
Oh, I did. We were having a conversation, just talking as, black people in Philadelphia. But if you're going to use the chronological timeline of America before the Great Society and Lyndon Johnson's.
Shout out to Lance, he said, and he from Brooklyn, too, no doubt.
Time period, you had, unfortunately, the Jim Crow era in America. During that time period, the marriage rates of Black Americans was significantly higher than any other time since then in American history. So it is a divergence if you're talking about marriage rates in the Black community. They have plummeted. And what we've seen recently in America, which is a very good thing we should all celebrate, is that the marriage rates in the Black community are rising again. That's good for Black families. That's definitely good for Black children. It's something I want to see. I'm quite sure you want to see it as well.
Okay, let's talk about that. Jim Crow.
Now, he's making very good points. He's not buying into the narrative. So he's like, I'm not going to sit here and keep defending the statement because he merely brought up Jim Crow because that was one of the biggest things that was going on in that time. If you say during the Jim Crow era, you automatically know what years we're talking about. So he brought it up as a marker to a point in time, not as a statement that Jim Crow made us better. That's what they're trying to make it out to be. And he's not saying that. And you know what? There's even an argument for that. There's even an argument for that. But he's a politician, so he can't go into that argument. I can go into that argument. Part of the reason that you saw so much Black cohesiveness is because under Jim Crow, you didn't have a damn choice. That's the quiet part nobody wants to say out loud. The quiet part that nobody wants to say out loud is the reason why Black folks operated that way out of Reconstruction into the Jim Crow era is because you didn't have a damn choice. You didn't have the option of today of telling other Black folks, go to hell. I don't want to be a part of y'all. I don't want to deal with y'all. All of that bullshit.
Crow.
But watch how she spins it and watch the statement she makes. And it's hilarious because his statement was taken out of context. Her statement is going to be direct. And nobody right now, as far as I can tell, nobody's outraged by this statement that she made. I'll probably be the first person on YouTube to point out the outrageous statement that she just made. Watch.
Lasted roughly from 1867 after the Civil War to 1968. Is there a specific period between 1867 and 1968 that you thought was this golden era for Black families, or a time that was good for Black families?
Joy, I never said that. And see, this is where the gaslighting comes in.
I'm going to read what you said.
All I was talking about was the marriage rates.
Stop. No,
Joy,
that's not what you said. Let's play what you said.
Play
what he said. Play what he said.
Families. You're saying I said it was the golden.
Look at this foolishness. Look at this foolishness. This woman is what's wrong with Black America. This woman right here. This woman right here is what's wrong with Black America.
I never said that.
I'm going to play what you said.
I said that it was better
I'm going to play what you said.
I never said that. I
play
said
what he said.
Together. Play what I said.
Play what he said.
During Jim Crow, the Black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more Black people were not just conservative, because Black people always have been conservative-minded, but more Black people voted conservatively. And then H.E.W., Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back. You said during Jim Crow, the Black...
Let's pause. You said he said it was a golden era. And when he interrupted you to correct you, you said, no, that's not what you said. Play what it said. Play what it said. You played it, and he didn't say that. Joy.
Black family was together. What was the authority of the Black father in the Black family during Jim Crow?
Well, listen, under Jim Crow, obviously, Black people were under great persecution, unfortunately, by Southern Democrats and the Democrat Party overall in the history of our country. That's the fact. And so, well, let me finish now, Joy. And so having the Black man in the home was about first protecting the mom and protecting the kids. Incredibly important. It was the leadership in the home, which is incredibly valuable. And I think what we're witnessing, obviously, the last 30 years, definitely through my generation, is Black fathers being at home is incredibly important for the success of Black children going forward. And it's not just a Black thing, that's everybody. Fathers in home help to breed success for kids moving forward. That is a great thing for our country. That's something that has been proven throughout time. So what I'm talking about is not the golden era of Jim Crow. That's ridiculous. I would never say that. And that is the gaslighting that I'm standing up to, because that's what Hakeem Jeffries, the Biden campaign, Jamie Harrison, and the like are trying to bring up. And unfortunately, the media has followed suit with misleading headlines, and that's wrong.
Now I'm going to talk. Do I have a chance? Good. Now, you talked about the black father being in the family, being able to protect the family. First, I want to read, just for our audience, the definition of Jim Crow, just so we all know what we're talking about. Jim Crow laws were a collection of state and local statutes that legalized racial segregation. They existed essentially from the post-Civil War era. They were meant to marginalize African Americans by denying them the right to vote, hold jobs, get an education, and other opportunities. Those who attempted to defy Jim Crow laws often faced arrest, fines, jail sentences, violence, and death. Now I want to talk about something that happened during this era. You said that what you were talking about was the presence of the black father in the home to protect his wife and family. In 1943, in the state that you represent, in Florida, a young man named Willie James Howard, who was 15 years old, was lynched. During Christmas of 1943, Willie Howard sent cards to all of his coworkers at the Van Priest Dime Store in Live Oak, Florida. Unlike the other cards, Willie's card to Cynthia Goff, a white store employee, revealed a youthful crush. His greeting expressed hope that white people would someday like black people and concluded, "I love your name, I love your voice. For SH, sweetheart, you are my choice." After reading the card, Cynthia's father, Phil Goff, brought two friends to the Howard home and demanded to see Willie. Despite his mother's pleading, the men dragged Willie away and then kidnapped Willie's father, James Howard, from work. The men drove the two Howards, to the embankment of the Suwannee River, bound Willie's hands and feet, stood him at the edge of the water, and told him to either jump or be shot. Willie jumped into the cold water below and drowned while his father was forced to watch at gunpoint. Willie's dead body was pulled from the river the next day. You said that during the Jim Crow era, the importance of having a black man in the home was to protect his family and to protect his wife. I actually spoke with somebody who lived through Jim Crow. Her name is Merle Evers Williams. And Merle quoted to me a man named Charles Silverman, who wrote in Crisis in Black and White, that in 1890, the year that the Mississippi Constitution was written, the policy of crushing out the manhood of the Negro citizens was to be carried out with success. So the man in the home during Jim Crow had no rights, could not protect his wife from rape, could not protect his son from lynching. So again, why would you quote that era and say that at that time, the family all being in the home together was something we should think of as a good thing?
Let me give you the context of what she's basically saying. She's basically saying that you cannot go back to the Jim Crow era and brag about intact black family units and the leadership of a black father because he was the victim of Jim Crow. She is literally saying the same shit that so many of these lunatic individuals have said on YouTube countless times. The black man couldn't protect his family. The black man couldn't protect his family. This woman is sitting on a nationally syndicated television news program blaming black men for Jim Crow. Do you have any earthly idea how ridiculous this is? And this is what I mean when I talk about this pseudo pro-black era. There shouldn't be a black person in this country that is part of any pro-black organization that shouldn't be calling her out right now and calling for her resignation at that freaking news program. told y'all. I told y'all over and over again. I'm going to say it again. They absolutely despise any of those B-dubs that are on the left. They despise us. Do you have any idea how much of a stretch it is for her to pull out that story, out her behind and say, well, black men couldn't protect their families back then? Do you know how many black men had to move out of the South because they protected their family? I know this for a fact because I have an uncle from Birmingham, Alabama, that had to move him and his family out of Birmingham because when somebody called themselves doing something, trying to do something to his family, he deleted the person. And there are countless stories like that. So to make this sweeping statement that all black men during the Jim Crow era were unable to protect their families, therefore, what's the point of you bringing up the fact that there were intact family units, and what was so good about having a father in the household back then if he couldn't protect his family, is one of the most ridiculous statements I have ever heard in my entire life. And nobody's calling her out on it. Nobody's calling her out on it as she sits there with a blonde hairdo. Nobody's calling her out on it.
Well, first of all, Joy, the story you bring up and you're bringing up is a tragedy, one of the great tragedies of the Jim Crow era. This is why those policies were disgusting and distasteful. All I was talking about, Joy,
what was the benefit of a man in the
black
family? Again, sir, I'm sorry,
Joy,
I let you talk for a long time. Sorry, I only talk over you. You've gotten a chance to speak a lot, Congressman. You're going to answer my question now and not filibuster. This is the question you want. This is the question you need to answer.
That's what I'm trying to answer. That's what I'm trying to answer, Joy.
Give me a second. Take a breath. Take a breath. If a black man could not protect. It's my show. If a black man, a black father could not.
It's my show. This is why I look at brothers with the side eye when they're on platforms and the women start being argumentative like this and talking over them. And you literally have brothers saying, let her finish, let her finish. This is why I look at them with the side eye. This is why I look at them with the side eye. How often do you see a non-black woman do this to a non-black man on a nationally syndicated television show, a news television show? How often do you see a non-black reporter, a non-black female reporter, do this to a non-black congressman? How often do you see this? How often do you see it?
Protect his wife, his son, or himself from lynching and violence. How is him being in the home mean that that is an era that was better for the black family, or that we should think of as a good thing?
First of all, Joy, I never said that it was better for black people in Jim Crow. I have never said that. And even my own words say that. If you're talking about the importance of black fathers in the home, or frankly, all fathers in the home, it is always for the betterment of children to have leadership. Yes, for safety. So having two people in the home to help provide the economic needs for those children so the family can succeed. That is a wonderful thing. We should always get back to that, not to Jim Crow. And this is the point of the gaslighting and the lying that is occurring with what I said. Don't try to impose The fact that the marriage rates were better in the higher, I want to be clear, higher in the Jim Crow era to mean that I think Jim Crow is great. That is a lie. That is gaslighting. I would never say such a thing, which is why the Jim Crow era was destructive of black people.
You brought it up. You're the one who brought it up.
How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous is that? That's like listening to a high school student. Shout out to Football. He said, do you smell the load Biden is cooking? Shout out to Mogul Maze. Let's see. Hold on. Let me go through some of these. Shout out to Hannibal. Appreciate you. Shout out to Robert. He said she's frustrated with his intelligence. Shout out to the lowly one, said, may it please the court, is there a question anywhere in our future? Shout out to Lance. He said, oh, I already read that one. Tell me how ridiculous that was. Tell me how ridiculous that was. See, and here's the thing. What they do is they love to interview people like that. Because if they interviewed somebody like me, she wouldn't have been able to do that. Because the way she was trying to check him, I would have definitely checked her. I would have said, well, you asked me a question. Are you going to allow me to answer it? Or are you just going to continue to push the narrative that everybody else is pushing? Black men, y'all got to start getting some dignity about yourself. Look, I came here to respond to what's being said. If you're not going to allow me to talk, then I'll leave. First of all, I said that there was a higher marriage rate during Jim Crow. Every single statistic that we have has proven that children who grow up in households where they have both parents tend to do better. The fact that you want to point out that black men were not able to protect their families during Jim Crow, let's say for argument's sake that that was 100% true. We're not under Jim Crow right now. So why are you opposed to it right now? Because the entire reason I brought it up was to point out the fact that black people need to get back to a space where we have higher marriage rates, where we have two parents in the household, which has absolutely nothing to do with Jim Crow. Well, why did you bring it up? I brought it up because anytime you say Jim Crow, you immediately know the time period that I'm talking about. The reason why I brought it up is because there happens to be a coincidence that during that time period, we also had the highest marriage rates. And I was talking to a black audience. So when I'm talking to black people, if I say during Jim Crow, they automatically know the years that I'm talking about. I was using the term Jim Crow as a marker for a time period. What part of that don't you understand, Joy? I would have made her look like a fucking idiot. I mean, she already looked like an idiot the way she was behaving. She's always looking like an idiot the way she behaves. The fact that they even have her sitting up there on a news station, and see, it serves the purpose, because it goes along with it's hilarious to me, because I sit back and I wonder, like, for all of you B-dubs out here that are intelligent, that hate the stereotype, you should really dislike her, because she gives validity to the angry, argumentative B-dub that don't want to hear nothing nobody got to say. She gives validity to that stereotype. And she's on TV every freaking day. She's on a nationally syndicated news station, making y'all look crazy. But anyway, with that being said, I'm about to get up out of here. We're at the 4-hour mark. We took a little too much time on that other topic, but it's all good. Shout out to everybody that came through and supported the show. I really appreciate you guys. If you have not went over to Amazon to check out the Angryman Standard, all you have to do is go over to Amazon and type the Angryman Standard in the search bar, and it will come up. It will come up. Now, here's something I found to be interesting. Shout out to everybody that is buying my book along with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just noticed that last night. It lets me know that I'm doing something right. Amazon says clearly right there that frequently when you guys buy my book, you also buy Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That is awesome. That is awesome. I noticed down there at the bottom, they also have Coach Greg Adams' book, Free Agent Lifestyle, Men's Guide to Peace, Quiet, and Freedom. That's what's up. And it also has De-Evolution by Coach Greg Adams. You feel me? It's got my man Marquette's book, The Black Box, down there. Peace to the Saints. Let's see. It's even got Shahrazad Ali's The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you get a chance, definitely go over and check out the Angryman Standard. Shout out to Robert. He said, great show, AM. Much love. Definitely go check it out when you get a chance. It's available in paperback and hardcover. You feel what I'm saying? But with that being said, let's see. Did we have anybody else? Oh, we had somebody else support the show. Shout out to Aaron coming through again. Aaron said, Paul Harvey, 1965, if I were the devil, pure BINO media, fits the discussion perfectly. Mafia culture on YouTube uses 48 Laws of Power to discuss the Godfather trilogy. The one I heard today was how Roth almost took out Michael by eating at the weak points. Yuri Brish, I forgot how to pronounce his name, warned us this is how we would be taken down, and through the Democrat Party. See Yuri's interviews in the late 70s and early 80s. Do y'all see the links now, BINOs? Yeah, I actually reviewed that video a while back. I showed everybody that video of Yuri's breaking down everything that we see playing out right now, which is crazy. But to everybody, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Shout out to everybody that sponsored the show. Shout out to everybody that supported. Special Ed said, you and Coach Greg Adams going back and forth with the shout outs. That's what's up, no doubt, man. Salute to Coach. Shout out to Black Fire. He said, great show. Appreciate you. But yo, with that being said, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for supporting. Hold on, we got another Cash App I gotta call out. I try to make sure I call them all out. Shout out to my man Miles. Appreciate you, bro. But yo, with that being said, appreciate you guys for tuning into the show. You feel me? Shout out to my man, Mr. Youngblood. Mr. Youngblood said the book was amazing, AM. I appreciate you. I appreciate it, brother. I'm gonna try to start working on my next one. It's gonna be about manhood. But yo, it's gonna be about the cultivation of manhood. You feel what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to write a book that gives dudes the ABCs of how to go on the journey of manhood and masculinity and how to navigate it in this world that we're in today. So I'm gonna start working on that soon. But yo, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like I said, shout out to everybody. Salute to the whole BINO Nation. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Deuces.